Certainly, it's become the go-to conference as far as direct investment is concerned. And as such, it's grown from last year. I'm quite impressed. There are many new ideas that are being put on the table. So a great initiative.
What are the interests, however, of a ratings agency like yourself as S&P in attending investment forums like this?
I mean, first, obviously, we can see many of our clients. We can see what is happening on the continent. And as a rating agency, we've been busy, we've been doing business on the continent for a good 30 years by now. And it's great to see that investment is progressing. There is need for more information. There is need for transparency. And we can add value. Investors add value. The marketplace here is a great place to be.
I mean, in terms of the ratings process, I do understand that it's a voluntary one in which countries themselves, volunteer themselves to be rated by the ratings agencies such as yourself. So what's the uptake been from countries right now that don't have that process in place?
In the meantime, we have a good 20 sovereign ratings on the continent. And we really started with South Africa in 94, 95. In the meantime, it's really coverage from Senegal to Kenya to South Africa. A large number of the ratings would be in the single B category, which for some is frustrating.
So that's junk status or non-investment grade, if we put it simply.
Non-investment grade. But again, it's a reflection of where we are on the continent in terms of economic development, in terms of economic diversification, in terms of like balance sheets, fiscal strength, and that just takes us into the single B category.
I mean, there's big money's been spoken about here at this investment forum, and the target is to raise some $68 billion for the continent, an improvement from last year's raising. What do funds and monies like this do for the perception or the ratings of the various countries that obviously receive the bulk of this capital?
I think the important thing we have to bear in mind here is, excuse me, the continent needs investment. Investment drives infrastructure investment, energy investment, it drives development. Governments on the continent are, by and large, highly leveraged. That's why it's so important to bail in the private sector. And with a conference like this is what is happening.
But some of the criticism to the fact that, there's a lot of debt sitting on the balance sheets of governments here in Africa is the fact that the perception of the debt or the risk to do business in Africa is mispriced by the likes of ratings agencies like yourself. What's your response to that?
A few issues or a few observations here. Yes, clearly risks are elevated on the continent. Political risk, stability, economic risk, fiscal risk. By just using a different yardstick, we are not making a difference. The beauty of the ratings is its global comparability. Obviously, yes, I said there are risks, but we are not resolving the issues by just using a different yardstick. So the risk pricing, again, is what it is. It's a fair reflection of the challenges on the continent.
And how does the talk right now of the Africa Free Trade Deal, a whole lot of excitement around that as we get into implementation stage, how does that change the game for the continent in your view?
It could clearly be a game changer. Inter-Africa trade could make a big difference. Compared to Asia, compared to Europe, compared to Americas, there is still very little inter-African trade. And a trade-free zone could make all the difference. It could push trade, it could push development.
And talking about how to make sure that we realize those gains from a trade-free zone, I mean, I imagine that you do have some interactions with some of your partners in other parts of the world, in Europe, in the UK, where now they're looking to unbundle that trade-free zone. As many stakeholders are asked to contribute to how to ensure that Africa Free Trade Deal is implemented to perfection, what would your advice or your contribution be as a ratings agency?
as a ratings agency, we've been here doing business for 30 years. We are here now in South Africa with 25 people from the ratings and other companies at S&P Global. And for us, it's a continent, it's a place where we want to be and where we want to be, and we want to continue to grow.